What up, what up? Welcome on into Inside Baylor Sports, the official daily podcast of Baylor Athletics. Today's show, we celebrate Scott Drew and talk about him staying here in Waco, Texas. Looking forward to covering it from all the different angles. We'll get to work there. Don't forget, you can catch Inside Baylor Sports every weekday. You can also watch the video version for free over at BaylorPlus.com and on the Baylor Athletics YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, rate, and review the pod. And follow Baylor Plus today on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. It's the official content network of Baylor Athletics. Think Netflix for your Baylor Bears. Download the app on your mobile device and sign up for your free 7-day trial today at BaylorPlus.com. It's Friday, April 12th, 2024. Justin Hoff alongside the Baylor Bear insider Jerry Hill. And Jerry, God is good. And Scott Drew, the future Hall of Famer, is staying put in Waco and will not be going to Kentucky. I know we were excited to talk about this, didn't want to jump into the rumor mill, but once it came official, we're good to discuss it. And so what a great moment for Baylor Athletics.
Yeah, and honestly, Justin, I'm glad we didn't talk about it yesterday. You know, I think we needed to wait and make sure it was official, that kind of thing. So I'm glad we waited and Scott, sent out his tweet, his official statement. So yeah, you're right. God is good. We've got our coach. And I think, Justin, what it does maybe more than anything is you don't have to hit the reset button now. I think if he leaves, who knows what would happen. But if he leaves, you may be hitting a reset button because you might not have much of a team left here. And, who knows who comes in, that kind of thing. So we don't have to worry about any of that. We got Scott Drew, and I think we'll have Scott for the rest of his career, my opinion.
And yeah, he's young, just 53 years old in the coaching profession. That's young. Jerry, he's a little younger than you are, kind of in between us. I'm 36 and you're 60.
Did you say you're 36?
36.
God, I thought you were older than that.
Really?
We are a palindrome.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, what age are you?
63.
Okay. That's
63,
just
36.
Okay.
That's a palindrome.
Okay, learn something new every day. So yeah, he's in between us. The point is he's young, okay, in the coaching profession, and just a lot of great years in front of him. And quite honestly, we said at the top, great for Baylor Athletics. This is not only great for Baylor Athletics, it's great for Baylor. It's great for the city of Waco. It's great for the state of Texas. And I know that's something when we won the national championship, Coach Drew was big on the state of Texas. Just this state, it's special. I mean, this state, you maybe don't know how special it is until you live here, you go to school here, you work here. It's a huge state, just built up of great diversity, all sorts of different cities. You even got mountains in the state. You get snow, you get warm weather, you got a great beach down there in South Padre. I mean, you get everything in the state of Texas, but it's also great for the Big 12. The Big 12 keeps one of its premier coaches,
right,
and doesn't let it go to that other conference, which you don't necessarily need to say. But the Big 12, just everybody wins down here, Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a coup for the Big 12 as well. And Justin, if I remember this right, I hope I'm getting this right. Baylor was only the second men's team in Texas to win a national championship. And the first one obviously was Texas Western, now UTEP, but that's, two. And we're one of the two. And you can say that Texas is a more of a football state. I think it is. But I think Scott is one of them that's helped Texas become more of a basketball state. Like, basketball is relevant now. Basketball is a big deal in Texas. It's a big deal in the Big 12. Just a couple of years, when Baylor won it 3 years ago, we had Baylor and Houston in the Final Four. So yes, basketball is big in Texas, and you keep that right here in the Lone Star State. You keep it in the Big 12, and you keep it in Waco, Texas.
Yeah, just a huge win all the way around. And you think about Houston, the program they're putting together. If it wasn't for Jamal Shed going down, heck, they might have been in the Final Four this past year again. and Texas Tech, of course, a couple of years ago, played in the national championship game. So basketball, hey, the state's big. It's got room for more than just football. I know football is so big at the high school level here, the Friday night lights and everything there, but you think about the commitment Baylor has made to basketball with the Foster Pavilion. And this season coming up will be the first full season of the Foster Pavilion. I mean, the offices aren't even finished. The development center is not finished yet. All that's going to be finished here in the next couple months. And so for Coach Drew and his staff and his players to call that home and be the first residents, just so critical to have the coach in place in Scott Drew. And I know we got really good relationships with him, and just really happy for him, and just grateful that he is a Baylor Bear.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, you made a good point about the Foster. I mean, they only played conference games. The men did play the one non-conference game to kind of kick things off, but for the most part, it was just their conference schedule. So, and they haven't been in, essentially haven't been in the development center, their offices, all of that. So, I think that'll be really cool. Going in there, hopefully, fairly early in the summer, and get it going and have all of that. I mean, that's kind of what I think. That's one of the things Scott had hoped for, wanted, was that arena, that facility. And now he gets, to coach in it all the time. He gets to, that will be where his office is, all of that. We know that now. And yeah, I think that will be a big coup as well, just to have that facility and it be yours and not be just a construction site. So I think that'll be a big, boon to this program, is to have that year round and to have that development center and everything that goes with it.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying this because I've been a part of the design there. We have as a collective creative team, but I'm telling you right now, it's legit. It's super nice. It's newer than any other development center in the country, right? The arena, and I don't care what big school tradition, what happened in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. Let's be honest. Baylor men's basketball is a program that's as good as anybody in the country. It's got the resources. It's got the recruiting hotbed. Coach Drew's been, getting top players as far as first rounders. We'll talk about that in a little bit here, but the recruiting's been there, the success. And let's not forget either, during the last 5 seasons, if you look at the Power 6 schools, 5 seasons, the last 5 seasons, the best winning percentage of any school in the country for men's basketball is Baylor. Number 1. And they won a national championship during that run as well. And so you think about just the success, everything. It's right there, Jerry. And I think, honestly, this could provide an opportunity, a refresh, a reset in a way, a recharge. Like, we don't, who knows how close Coach Drew was to going to Kentucky. Only he can answer that. But from afar, this is an opportunity, and we've talked about it on this very podcast. You win one, that's great. The second one is the one you're going after. And this is an opportunity right now, starting right here and right now, is going for number 2. It's right in front of you, and go get it.
Yeah, and I think you're right on all those points. And, I think they're poised to do that, and they weren't that far off this year. And that's amazing when you think about over that stretch, Baylor being the number 1. Like, you think about all the great programs, and we had that stat that kept rolling out this year as well. I think one of 4 teams or something like that had won at least one NCAA tournament game over the last 4 or 5 years. All of that. Baylor is one of those teams. So yes, I mean, like you said, we don't know how close it came, but essentially you can say Scott stayed here instead of going to what people consider a blue blood program. But Kentucky's resume over this 5-year stretch doesn't match up with what Baylor's is over this stretch. So I just think Baylor is in such a good place right now in basketball. And I think this is going to do nothing but, help in recruiting. Certainly it gets the fan base. If it needs to be re-energized, I think this re-energizes the fan base. So yeah, I think this was a day that we can all celebrate, and we need to recognize what we have here too. we need to recognize that we have, I mean, I would say really on both, but particularly on the men's side, we have one of the best basketball programs in the country. You know, I'm not going to say bar none, but one of the best, 5 or 6 programs in the country, men's basketball. I think we have one of the top 5 or 6 men's basketball programs in the country over this stretch.
Yeah, without question, and have a title to show for it too. And I think that's critical, right? You can have success, you can win a lot of regular season games, but if you don't have that national championship, you probably need to, work for that. And so Baylor's already got that and looking for another one. And, think about this too, the recruiting. I mean, we have a top 5 recruiting class coming in next year. And obviously a lot of times recruits are tied to the head coach. Some cases they can be tied to the university too, but really, especially the last, 5 to 10 years, it's really coach driven. You see different coaches leave, and with the portal and whatnot, they're going for the coach a lot of times. But, you think about that. That tells you right there, you can recruit amongst the best. You've already shown that you can win amongst the best. You have this brand new facility, which we saw last year, Jerry, this past season. It can get as loud as anywhere in the country. It can. I don't care if you got 7,500 people or 20,000. The people that are sitting 20,000 at Rupp Arena, they're way up there. Okay. You can't hear them at the nosebleeds. I mean, heck, I've sat in nosebleeds before. I can't hear the ball dribble. I can't hear the whistle from the official. At the Foster, you can hear all that. And so the ability for that space, that arena, and the success and just so much, and just really to carry on the tradition. You think about all the former players, if a coach isn't here, what does that look like, right? What does Vet Week look like? What does Jared Butler when he comes back? All those different pieces. This was bigger than any one person, but at the end of the day, the coach is here, and the Baylor men's basketball program, I think the sky's the limit, and just really excited about pushing for that second national championship, going out there. You're playing in the best league in all of America. This gets you ready for that. The league expands to 16 next year. You get Arizona, who's a really powerhouse program in the past. And so just going to be more excited. I'm a basketball guy. The last couple days, you don't know what to believe, but I know I was not sleeping well, Jerry, and you know this. Twisting and turning and wondering what the future, and it's tough for us because we got no control over it. You're just a bystander. You got to focus on what you want to do. But I'll definitely tell you, the last couple of days been hard to get work done, hard to stay focused because you're on social media. You're seeing all these reports. You're seeing flight trackers. You're seeing, Mika Sita. You're seeing Chip Gaines. There was a lot going on.
You know what you do, Justin? You turn off social media.
You could say that, but Jerry, you're 63. I'm 36. So I'm a little bit more, I don't want to say invested because you're on it, but I've been living in social media since basically 2006 with Facebook. So 18 years. So half of my life has been on social media. And so for me, just to turn off social media, that's pretty difficult to do.
And I will say, I mean, and I, any communication I had with outside people or like even family and stuff, there was just a lot more noise this time. I mean, we've seen people come after Scott in the past and certainly him at least entertain, offers and stuff like that. There was just a lot more noise this time. And I can't hide the fact that I was worried. I was worried that we were going to lose, Scott Drew. And not only a great basketball coach, but like you mentioned, a good friend. His family, I mean, I've enjoyed being around them. And I don't remember if I had mentioned this to you, Justin, but Scott actually, he's a little bit of a prankster. I don't know if you've seen that side of him, but he pulled one on me a few years ago because I was at my wife and I were celebrating our wedding anniversary, and we were at one of the the Japanese places where they do the stuff right there at the table.
Hibachi.
What's that?
Hibachi.
Yes, we were at one of those places, and it did not know it at the time, but Scott and his whole family were there. But anyway, sitting there having anniversary dinner with my wife, and this guy comes over. And he's like, he acts like he recognized me. He's got like an A&M hat on. And he says, "Hey, you're that guy." you're that guy that dances, like has the celebration dances. And I've got a little bit of an ego about me, and I think I'm kind of a big deal. So I was like, yeah, I'm that guy. It's not a big deal. But he was just going on and on and on about it. And then it turns out that Scott had sent him over to our table to, he set me up for it. So what we did to kind of get back at him was my wife and I got to take a picture with Scott and Kelly and the whole family there at this hibachi place. So he's a good sport too. He likes to play pranks. And I love the fact that we have a close enough relationship that he would do something like that. But yeah, he's that's what I didn't want to miss. I appreciate him so much as a coach and all that, but man, he's a good friend as well, and just love the fact that he's going to stay here. Excited what he's going to do next. That's the thing. I think Scott gets re-energized too, and some people would say, how could he get more energized? But I think he's going to be more motivated, more energized, and he's going to, like you said, I think he wants to win that second national championship. So I think all this is going to do is motivate him even more to go out there and win another natty.
Yeah, and let's face it, a challenge of winning a national championship, it's not easy. And so that challenge, I don't care what school you're at, that in and of itself is a huge challenge. And so that's the next challenge. I don't care what school you're at Baylor, you're at X school, that's a challenge in and of itself. And so, I think that challenge is in front of us, and you got to get the right players, you got to get the right coaches, and then you got to mix it all up in a lab and have that chemistry and basically have what you had in 2021. And so it's doable. We've seen the blueprint, we've done it before, and I'm confident that we're going to have a great chance to do it again before Scott Drew's time's up as a head coach here in college basketball. He had a statement on Thursday, in quote, "In our program, we strive to put Jesus first, then others, then ourselves. We truly believe God has called my family and I to continue our work here at Baylor, surrounded by the best people and community anyone could be blessed to have. We are grateful for the support of Mac Rhodes, President Livingstone, and the entire Baylor family, and we look forward to working together to bring more championships to Waco. #joy." And he means every bit of that, okay? He means every bit of that piece. And, we know his faith is really strong. His family's really important to him. And so you had all those pieces in there along with the culture of joy. And amen. Amen to that.
Yeah, and I think, I do think, some people will say that and, not fake or whatever, but they can say that, Jesus is number one. I can look at Scott Drew's life and tell you Jesus is number one. And it has been, I think all his life. So, yeah, I do. I think he believes every bit of that. And he's seen that, that kind of culture of joy, with that kind of culture of joy, they won the 2021 national championship. I think some people would kind of poo-poo it and say, oh, well, you can never do this if your focus is on this. Well, they went out and won a national championship, and the whole time they were focused on Jesus, and they were making Jesus number one. So don't tell me what can't be done. We saw what can be done with Scott and that culture of joy.
Let's do it again. I know this much working in the athletic department. We're going to do everything we can to support this program and all of our programs, but particularly, men's basketball, you think about with Coach Drew in this day and thinking about him this week, whether it's motivational videos, intro videos, hype videos for the team that you don't get to see, stuff on social media, graphics. We want to be the best. I know Coach Drew wants to be the best, and we're going to be bringing it, Jerry. And so that your writing better be the best, your quotes better be the best, your headlines, everything, our photos, our graphics. We got to bring it. And quite honestly, I'll say this too, Jerry. I don't know about you, but this is a piece of me too. And I think it's there with Coach Drew. Baylor, a lot of times, because we don't have this huge alumni base, because we're a private school, we're a David, okay? And the school that was trying to get Coach Drew is definitely on the Goliath side, a bigger school. right? And I have a part of me. I know there's a school that's not too far from us, just 90 miles south. There's a chip on your shoulder. There's a hey, I want to be on the David side. I want to go after something where it's maybe some people would say it's harder to do. I want that road to the path because when I get to the top, when I have success, when I think about April 5th, 2021, it means that much more, okay? Because it's harder to get there. And so I think we're both on the same line. You got to be made a little bit differently, made up of some different stuff. And I think Scott Drew's made up of some different stuff as well. And that Baylor fits us.
No, I agree. And you see it, you feel it. Again, it's genuine. It's not fake. Nobody fakes it here. It's real, and I felt it. I came here in '08. Obviously, had been around the program for a long time before that when working at the newspaper. But I can tell you that when I came to Baylor and I could see, I think back to my first orientation and they prayed at the end of the first meeting, and I'm like, wow, this is a different place, So yeah, I think you feel it here, and it is a different place. And I will say, Scott may have started out with one stone in that bag. I think he's got a few more stones if he needs to knock off some Goliaths. So I think he's got a few more of those in there. He may only need one, but I think he's got a few more in there that he can take down Goliath.
Well, yeah, just a special day. I think April 5th, 2021 was the greatest day of my professional life, but this day's right up there, April 11th, 2024, because of the meaning for not only Baylor athletics, but also the city. And I think that's something too. The city of Waco and Baylor University, in my opinion, have never been closer than where they are today in all the 10 years that I've been here. And this means something for the city. You see the outpouring of support from Chip Gaines and others throughout the city. They wanted Coach to be here. And so just really excited about where we are moving forward here in Waco, Texas. And for Baylor University, just a great a shot in the arm. I know I'm recharged. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go for next season, Jerry. Can you feel it through the computer? I'm trying to give some motivation. I'm fired up. Are you fired up? I'm not feeling enough energy from you.
I may not be as fired up as you. I may not be showing it as much, but I can tell you inside, I am jumping for joy. I'm jumping out of this place. I think I could jump over McLean Stadium. I could jump over the Foster Pavilion today because I'm just that excited. I'm sorry if I'm not bringing the energy. You're a little over the top, basically 24/7. So it's hard for me to bring it up to that level. But I can tell you that inside I am, doing cartwheels.
Okay, well, I've seen you. Well, that was Bryce Cherry. I don't want to see you do cartwheels. And I will say this, Jerry, though, use this for your midnight oil when you're doing those late night writes, in terms of summaries and recaps and things like that, where it's 12:30 and you're wondering, man, why the heck am I up at 12:30? Because of this conversation right here. That's why you're up. Okay, so use that motivation. We only live life once, and we're living it with the green and gold and the Baylor Bears. And so it's a great day to be a Baylor Bear, but also a great day great, weeks and whatnot going on with Eve Messi. Really proud of this guy declaring for the NBA draft. And you think about where he started and where he came and the opportunity in front of him, projected first round draft pick, Jerry. This guy, sky is the limit. I mean, when you look at it up in a saying, you should put Eve Messi's name next to that. He was originally a 2024 commit. He reclassified, and he had a stellar season. I still think he could have been co-freshman of the year with Jacoby Walter in the Big 12, but he was so impressive. And his NBA career, I honestly, Jerry, I really can see all-star. There's an opportunity where one day he could be an all-star. He could be the first Baylor Bear to ever be an all-star.
He could be really special. I think he will be special because I think he kind of is today's NBA. He's a very athletic five. I think he can do a lot of, special things. He can be a, rim protector. He can be a rim runner. He's so athletic. I mean, we saw him make those moves, starting, at the free throw line or at the top of the key and making those drives. So I think there's a lot of his game that's definitely pro ready. Sure, I would have liked to seen him around here in the green and gold for another year, but I think the projections are, and everybody, kind of feels like this guy is ready. So excited about him. Excited to see what he can do, and just to have another guy in the NBA. I mean, that's kind of become the norm for Baylor to have guys in the NBA, and even guys doing special things. So yeah, I'm excited about Eve and what he can do, even just this coming up year as a rookie. And as you mentioned, initially, if he hadn't reclassified, he'd be coming in right now as a freshman. So think about that. Like if you had him coming in this year with Scott coming back. So, but yeah, excited about him in the NBA and what he can do up at that next level.
Yeah, right now, Adam Flagler, he scored his first points in the NBA the other night. Right now for Baylor, they have 9 players in the NBA, and that's up there. Okay, I believe it's somewhere in the top 10 amongst colleges with NBA guys. And so once again, that's another feather in the cap. I don't care where you are. You can build something and stay over time and build it into a legitimate program. That's exactly what Scott Drew's done. I think about Gonzaga with Mark Few. There was opportunities for Mark Few many times over to leave, but instead he chose a different path. He chose to stay, and he built that place up into a power. And so that's exactly what Scott Drew's done here with Baylor. So Eve Messi declaring for the draft. We'll see what happens with Jacoby Walter, in terms of his draft. A lot of mock drafts right now have him in the lottery. And for Baylor, if he does declare and both Jacoby and Eve get picked in the first round, this would be the first time ever, Jerry, that Baylor would have had 2 players go in the first round. And mind you, Baylor's on this heater of sorts in the NBA draft as the only school in the country to have draft picks for 3 straight years going in the top 16.
Yeah, I think, Baylor has had a great NBA draft history recently. If you think about it, when obviously we know where Scott, where the program was when Scott came in, and it took him a while to get those kind of pro ready guys. But then if you look at this last stretch, man, wow, they've really been able to develop a lot of those NBA guys, and certainly have had some one and dones, but have had other guys that stuck around and have become good pros. So I think it's good to have both those type of guys, and think about, if you go back a little bit, think about Taurean Prince that was here for a while and has had a good NBA career. So yeah, I think the development program that he's had here is special too. Like we know he's recruiting top recruits and top, guys, but you still have to develop them when they're here, or they're not going to get their chance. And Baylor is having a lot of guys get chances in the NBA.
Yeah, and they'll have a couple staffers they have to replace. Of course, John Jacobs at Florida Atlantic. You also have Bill Peterson, and then Luke Simons, who just went to Ohio State. So they have a couple positions to fill there. And, of course, a lot on the roster. Caleb Lohner is in the transfer portal. And with the graduating seniors, some guys going to the NBA, you got, some work to do with the incoming freshmen, some guys that will stay. So I know the focus now for this team, Jerry, is roster construction. And so you're working a lot of phones. You're in the transfer portal. And I don't know what that's like. It's probably a crazy place to be in the transfer portal. But this team will come together over the next, 4 to 6 weeks here. And before June 1st, we'll know what the 24-25 Baylor Bears look like.
That's right. I mean, we don't know right now, what that's going to look like on April 12th. We don't really know what that roster is going to look like. So, but I think we will, it'll become more clear over the next month or two. And, it's exciting though, Justin, to me. Like, yeah, you would like for guys to stick around 4 and 5 years and have that same roster, but there's a little bit of excitement too in kind of not knowing right now on April 12th what that roster is going to look like. And now in today's world with the transfer portal, with NIL, you're looking at, and then with, one and dones and all of that, you're looking at, I would say in a lot of cases 50% turnover, maybe more. So it is exciting though. You don't know, but it is exciting. Sometimes the unknown is exciting.
Yeah, even higher than that for most. The average is, when you think about guys, NBA, check. Guys leave there. Graduating seniors are out of eligibility, whatever a senior is these days. Thankfully, this next year is the final year of COVID. Check. Transfer portal guys. When you add up all those checks, most teams will average somewhere in that 60 to 75% on average. That doesn't mean every team's in 60%, but on average across the board. And case in point, Arkansas. So John Calipari goes up to the podium. He said, a really funny comment. I talked to the team. There is no team. And he's not joking. They have 0 players, okay? Everybody in the recruits, they've all out of their letter of intent. All the guys who could have been there have either hit the portal or went to the NBA. So he literally has 0 guys on the roster as far as scholarship players. And so that's just the way the world is now. And yeah, by June 1st, when summer workouts began right around that area, we'll know what the Bears look like. But this is there's a different time for that. This time, though, right now, these last 24, 48 hours, Jerry, it's about celebrating Scott Drew. And just once again, as we finish up here, just grateful, thankful, blessed that he's here, blessed that we work at Baylor, and just cannot wait for the future.
Yeah, I'm excited, Justin. It is a good day. It's a great day in Waco. It's a great day at Baylor. Happy that Scott's back, and so now let's go win another natty, right?
Time to go to work. That'll do it for today's edition of Inside Baylor Sports, a Sport and Story production. Thanks for listening. For Jerry Hill, I'm Justin Hoff. Have a great Friday, and sick 'em Bears.
Sick 'em Bears.